Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing the Friday the 13th franchise tag. I was tagged to do this by E.D.Lewis, so thank you for tagging me, and I've got a series of questions which I will go through one by one and I will do my best. It's been a while since I've done a tag. I don't do many of these, but I will do my best, and I will have the original creators channel or the original creators video or channel or whatever for this tag link down below, as well as E.D. Lewis's channel, and I will have a list of all these questions in case you guys want to do this kind of unusual tag during this Halloween period. So first off guys, I've got to put my glasses on, otherwise I cannot read these questions. So a little downside about getting old. So part 1, a book where the mother is the villain. Now, I had trouble thinking about what book to include this, or what book to mention, and I was going to pass on this question, but I was thinking, well, there is a mother type of figure, or a female figure, in the Children That God Forgot by Graham Masterson. It's been a while since I've read this book, but I absolutely loved it. But the female character that's in the sewers with these unusual children, I'll say that if you haven't read the book, it's fantastic. I would highly recommend it. But this female character is very mysterious, and she refers to herself as being the mother of these misfit children. So whether she's a villain, it's kind of a grey area. She does bad stuff to protect her children, but that's who I've come up with. Part 2, a book in the backwoods. Now, I would probably say The Old Country, as it's a folk horror book about a couple that move to the mountains in the middle of nowhere. Got all forests and mountains around, and they have to try to survive this evil spirit that wants to kill them. I read this during 2023, and it ended up being one of my favourite books of the year. It'd be kind of interesting to see where it lands at the end of the year, but fantastic book, very underrated. I don't see many people talking about it, but it is really good, and probably the biggest surprise, or one of the biggest surprises for me during this year. Part 3, a book with a masked character. I'll probably have to go with my first choice, which is Clown in the Cornfield, where the killer are wearing a clown mask. I haven't read the second book. Not sure whether I want to or whether I'm going to. The first book was okay, but I'm not sure whether I'll be moving on to book 2. But it's the only book that I could think about with a masked character. Part 4, a book with the best final chapter. Now, I was going to interpret this as being the book with the best ending, as I can't remember what the last chapter is in all the books I've read, but I can't think of anything or a book that has the best final chapter or best ending, in my opinion. I mean, there have been books I've been satisfied with, and some that I haven't been satisfied with when it comes to the ending. But I can't think of anything, so I'm going to pass for this one. Part 5, a series book that changes its protagonist from the first book. I'm going to move over to grimdark fantasy for a bit. I am going to say the First Law trilogy In the first book, the Blade itself, there is a young prince character. Can't remember his name. It's been ages since I've read that series. I need to go back and reread it for 2024. But the prince character was so spoiled, and he was always having, handsome attacks and saying, "Oh, I'm better than you because I'm a prince," and all that stuff. But when he got thrust into the action and the danger in book 2, which is called "Before They Are Hanged," or "Before They Are," or "Before They Were Hanged," or whatever, he got really down and dirty in this bloody world, and he became really likable, and I really liked his character. So that's what I'm going to say for that question. Part 6. A book with someone or something resurrected from death. Now, I could be like everyone that has done this tag or done this question and say Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And I could easily just say, right, that's it, and give that as my answer. I'm not going to do that here, as I want to be somewhat different. And I'm just going to say I can't think of anything. Well, apart from Frankenstein. If you want to take that as my answer to this question, then so be it. But my official answer is, I'm not sure. I'm going to pass on it. Part 7. A book with a character with telekinesis. That is got to go to Psychic Teenage Bloodbath by Carl John Lee. Basically, Queer Carrie. It's about a queer female couple, and one of them gets killed at prom or at a dance. She gets put into a coma, and she has telekinetic powers while in this state, and she uses it to take revenge about what's happened to her. And it is really good. It is really good. It's so fantastic. It really is, guys. So that is what I'm going to give as my answer. Part 8. A book that takes place in New York. Now, I was originally going to pass on this question, as I can't really think of any books that I've read that are either all set in New York or partially set in New York. But a book that I started today is partially set in New York. It's in only the first chapter, but is referenced throughout the whole book, well, so far anyway. And that is The Pale House Devil by Richard Cannelly. I can't really say much about this, as I have just started it and I'm just under halfway through. But the part where it's set in New York, it's spoiler free if you haven't read this book so far or yet. But these two kind of killers for hire have this job that goes sideways and wrong in New York, and they have to go somewhere else. That's probably as far as I want to go with that. But it is good, and I am enjoying it. And also, the author wrote the Sandman Slim series, which I wasn't sure what that was about, but it does sound interesting. Part 9. A book that takes place in hell or has something to do with the occult. Again, I couldn't think of anything, so I'm just going to say a book that I've recently finished, and that is Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. This isn't really set in hell or has anything to do with, well, Satan is mentioned and demons are mentioned in this, and religion is a big part of this book. This is its backbone for this book. The characters in it aren't really demon worshippers, but demons and Satan are obviously mentioned a lot in this book. Not sure if it completely covers this question, but this is one we'll answer as. Part 10. A book that takes place in space. Gotta say, the first thing that came into my mind was The Martian by Andy Weir. Fantastic book, especially if you are new to sci-fi and you're not sure where to start off with. If I could talk, sorry, I've only just come back from work. That book is fantastic. It's one that you should read if you're a sci-fi fan, or if you're trying to get into that genre, about a astronaut that is thought about being killed somewhere or somehow on Mars, and his teammates think that something's happened to him and they leave, but he turns out to be still alive, and he has to try to survive on Mars. It does have parts where he's in space and when his crew are in space in their shuttles or whatever, but fantastic book. Part 11, a book that has characters from different franchises / mashup. I don't know, guys. I can only think of the Avengers or the Infinity War or the Infinity Gauntlet. I've got the graphic novels, or some, well, a couple of them anyway, in my room. I haven't read them yet, but that is the only thing I can think about. All these superheroes coming together to defeat this, villain. Part 12, a book that is a retelling. Basically anything by Christina Henry, probably Alice, which is kind of not really like a retelling. It takes inspiration from Alice in Wonderland and it builds on it as kind of a soft sequel, and it does its own thing with the characters established in that world. And part 13, a book that you found in a thrift shop or an antique shop. I haven't really gone and bought anything from a second-hand shop in a while, but I buy a lot of stuff on eBay. And the recent thing that I have received from eBay is a few of the Animorphs books, which are The Captive, if you're interested, The Captive, The Predator, and The Message. I get these Animorphs books when they are available in the UK, which is very, 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 very rarely. And I picked them up because my dear friend, or one of my dear friends, was a fan of this whole series, and I just want to read them. I'm probably not going to read all of them, but I like to have them as a kind of security blanket. I do intend to read them at one point now. So guys, I have to tag some people. I have no idea who has done this or who wants to do it or who's even a fan of the Friday the 13th movies. And plus, coming from someone that is extremely busy this month with reading and uploading videos, I don't really want to burden anyone with doing this tag. All I will say is, if you want to do it, you can say that I tagged you, and all the questions will be linked down below, or listed down below, so they will be there if you want to do it. But if you want to do it, consider yourself tagged. So with all that out of the way, guys, I'll see you on my next video.